just put our captions on as well. And I'll also say hello again and welcome to our final RAMP webinar. And before I make a formal start and introduce our special guest this week, I would just like to take a moment to acknowledge country and to pay my respect to the traditional owners of the country that we're meeting on today. I know as a New South Wales based program, we're meeting from right across New South Wales, and I'm currently on beautiful Bundjalung country where it was very, very cold this morning, but super beautiful day now with the sun out. And I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on Bundjalung country, and also any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people that are joining us today. And on that note, I would like to introduce Nicole. I was very fortunate to meet Nicole only last year, perhaps, I think. Wow, feels like a long time ago. Feels like I've known Nicole for a long time, but I was very fortunate to meet Nicole at one of the workshops she was running here at Southern Cross University. I saw it as a workshop where I was going to go in and learn about cultural awareness and trauma-informed practices, but I took away so much from my time with her, and an ongoing collaboration as well, which has just been so rich in so many ways. So Nicole has a background in trauma-informed cultural awareness training and specialist Indigenous research and evaluation. Nicole completed her PhD recently as well, which is very exciting. And she also won the university medal for her PhD, and it was a huge honour to see Nicole receive those awards and qualifications this year. So you may have more you'd like to share, Nicole, but I'll leave it there and hand over to you now. Thank you for joining us and hosting our webinar today.
Thank you so much, Simone, for that beautiful long introduction. And now I'm going to leave you for 5 seconds while I let a dog out that's actually crying to get out of this room. The joys of working from home, hey?
Absolutely.
Hi, everyone. It's such an honor to be here and to meet you all. And I wasn't sure how many people would be in the room today, but it's a very nice group. And thank you, Simone, for inviting me. And yeah, when Simone first asked me to come and be with you in your reflection session, I sort of thought, oh, what am I going to be able to talk to this group about? And then I started thinking about it more, and then I had the opportunity to read through all of your mentee notes and just see what you've been thinking about for the last few weeks. And it looks like it was an amazing program. So I'm very honored to be here. I'm calling in from Meanjin today, Brisbane. So I want to pay my respects to the Turrbal people here in Brisbane. And it's a freezing day. I normally live at North Mission Beach, Juru country, where it's much, much warmer. So I'm really feeling it here today. I've got a bit of a PowerPoint to share, but we've got a small enough group that we can go around the room today and do some introductions and get to know each other a little bit better. We've got an hour, haven't we, Simone? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, correct.
I'm going to share my screen to start with. And just got some questions for you all, I guess. And I'm not sure what we're looking at now, but we're not looking at what I want you to look at. Okay. All righty. So today's session is on reflection, and it got me thinking a lot about reflexivity and what happens during reflection time. And this is just so incredibly important, because reflection time is when we get time to take all of the things that we've learned and actually work out a strategy or a plan to use them if we haven't already been doing so. And the interesting thing about trauma-informed practice is we know that you can't actually strategize if you're in fight or flight, or if you're stressing or you're anxious about something. So it's a really special time to be able to just sit back, forget about all your worries for a short period of time, and let those new learnings, I guess, that you've had over the past few weeks move from your short-term memory into your long-term memory. So it's really important that you're comfortable today, taking some nice deep breaths, and yeah, got the capacity to think deeply about the things that we're going to yarn about. So I guess I can tell you a little bit about me. I am the I am a Cubby and South Sea Island woman, and what that means is that my family comes from the area around Noosa and the hinterlands in North Queensland, and my great-grandfather was brought as a slave to Australia to work the cane fields in North Queensland. And I guess so, I stand on the shoulders of my mum and my nana, who you can see there. And I love this photo because it sort of gives that saying, dressed to kill, a whole new meaning. They were going out killing some kangaroo that day. And yeah, it didn't really look like they were dressed for it, but they were. So I just want to pay my respects to those people who came before me, and those who fought the frontier wars, who survived unspeakable acts, those who kept our traditions, rituals, our songlines, languages, stories, and places of country alive for us to know who we are. These cultural practices are important in healing trauma wounds, and now science can see how they heal in all our society, emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being. And I thought it might be really nice just to start with who we are. So my dad was Shane O'Connor. I've lost both mum and dad now. He was of Irish heritage, and I have been back to Ireland, to Sligo, to see where the O'Connors come from, but it's all a bit confusing because there's a lot of O'Connors, and I still don't really know where who was my family back there. But I could go back to my island and Aboriginal forebears and find out exactly where I came from there. So that was really nice. I do stand on the shoulders of these women because they were really strong, proud Aboriginal and South Sea Islander women. They were a bit scary, but they really forged a path for me to be able to get an education and to really know who I am. As Simone said, I finished my PhD at the age of 62 at Southern Cross University, so it's never too late to be learning. And I ended up doing it in Indigenous-led evaluation. So I don't think anyone actually grows up thinking they want to be an evaluator when they grow up, but somehow I just landed in that space. So I thought it might be really nice for us to go around the room and just see who's in the room today. And if you'd like to introduce yourself, and maybe you could talk about who the traditional custodians are of the country you're on, or you might want to talk about whose shoulders you stand on. So I'm just going to call on you as you appear on my screen, if that's okay. So I can see, first of all, Wayne. How are you today, Wayne? Now, you might be still on mute because we can't hear you.
Okay.
There.
Yeah, I'm in Orange, Wiradjuri country, and I'm an architect first and foremost, but retired, slightly older than you, good bit older than you, and I'm part of a family farm that's been in my wife's family for over 100 years, and we're now the custodians of that land, and we run a small cattle stud, and our son has plans to take on after us. And after just talking to him yesterday, he realised how important it was to have land, because he's just read a book and he's petrified about where civilization is going. The 6 months that we've been doing this course has been really informative for me. We've had a group that's declined in number as we've gone along, but the ones that have remained have been really stalwart, and we've sort of joined or have a WhatsApp group, and we maintain a sort of constant dialogue. And I'm hoping that's going to continue, because I found it really beneficial. And we've joined in with last year's group as well. So we've got extended connections, and it's been terrific.
That's fabulous. Thank you so much, Wayne. Michael, you're next on my screen. I think we might only have one Michael.
Correct.
Yeah. How are you today?
Very well, thank you, Nicole. I'm in Taree, retired here with my wife. People that I look up to or have gone before are really my two elder brothers and my mum and dad. My dad died a number of years ago, but he was a prisoner of war in World War II in Germany, and he flew Lancasters, and he was shot down over Poland, and he was a great inspiration for me. And he led our family beautifully, and he's been a role model for me all my life, as has my mum. And my two brothers and I now support my mum, who's 95 and is still living in a retirement village in Kiama. But yeah, we are on a small acreage here just outside of Taree. And I'll keep it short because there's a whole lot of other people.
Thank you, Michael. My ex-husband's father was also flew Lancasters and was shot down over Germany. So I have been back to see his memorial and everything as well. Quite amazing group of men. Yeah.
Did he die when he was shot down?
He did.
Yes, yeah. My dad parachuted at night over Poland.
Wow.
He said it was pretty scary jumping out of a plane at that time of night.
I can imagine. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that story.
It's okay.
Keith, how are you today?
Good, thank you, Nicole. You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm at Lismore, so I'm in Bundjalung country with Nicole. But like you, as far back as I can trace my heritage is to Northern Ireland also, and it's obviously it becomes very difficult to try and find specific family connections there. But I'm a beef cattle farmer at Lismore. As far back as I can find through my research, all the Graham family have been farmers for centuries and centuries, and presumably before Northern Ireland in Scotland as well, where they had cattle and horses. So I have a long line, and that's I guess I stand on the shoulders of not only my father, who was a dairy farmer here and owned the property next door to where I live now, but also all my forefathers who had that rural and farming heritage. The sad thing is, though, that obviously it is just such a trial, and obviously we've learnt a lot through this course, and especially with our tutor, Gavin was excellent. And we've obviously, there's been a lot of, and in the lectures, a lot of new technology, new things to try. The only problem is, especially not only in beef cattle, but most of the primary industry now, is just that the massive squeeze between the price that we get for our produce and the cost of inputs. So I don't know what the future of farming really holds. It's looking bleak as far from what I can see. I don't know if it's a factor of my age or not, but it is very sad to look into the future and just see what our farmers' future is, especially financially, and being able to have the funds to look after country, to improve your country, to maintain the natural environment. So anyway, it's been enjoyable. Probably the best thing that's come out of this course is the contacts and the social interactions, especially in our field days that have been had. I found those very useful and great to be able to socialise with like-minded people and see what they're doing and their ideas of how to improve what we're doing. Thank you.
Thanks, Keith. Susanna, hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, well, I'm first generation Australian from Anglo-Irish American parents who are both fairly long past. I live on Bundjalung country on Widjabul Waiable land, sort of near Lismore, kind of Bangalore, Mullumbimby, North Coast. I'm on 100 acres small cattle property, and I'm basically just trying to keep the farm going and put it to better use than you know, not making any money out of cattle. I'm just trying to put it back to how it should have been with trees and things like that. But I have got some cattle that aren't mine that I'm adjusting, and I'm just trying to work out how to be a better farmer and a better custodian of the land. And also the best thing about this course for me has been all the contacts, as other people have said. It's been just brilliant because I'm on my own and I'm really, you know, coming to this. I've been here for 20 years, but I'm very much, you know, pretty much feeling my way still. So yeah, it's been a really good course for learning stuff and making new contacts, and likewise I'm on the WhatsApp group, and that's been beneficial even today. So yeah, that's me.
Thanks, Susanna. I can imagine that it could be quite isolating being on the country by yourself if you didn't have those really important networks. Fantastic to hear. Yeah. Kevin, you're joining us from the car, I can see. So 10 out of 10 for effort there. You've got, I think you're on mute still because I can't hear you.
You got me now?
Yes.
Yeah, we're just about to start seeding. So
nice.
So just getting organised. Yeah, I'm on Bundjalung country. It's also like several others. I'm out here at Kalmaran Creek. We have Angus stud cattle. It's been the journey's been a bit of an eye opener. It's been good. As I come out of construction management, in like people don't want to probably hear this, but out of the gas industry, I was in the gas industry for a long time. So I say to everybody, I'm in transition. I'm transitioning to be a farmer. So the last probably 3 years I've been working the farm full time. Prior to that, I was still commuting offshore doing gas projects. Yeah. So
finding it just a bit hard to hear you.
Gavin's been very good. Timing issues for me. I've missed some farming tours and gatherings due to timing for me not being just 100% right. I work the farm here by myself. So when you work it by yourself, it's a bit difficult to get away and do certain things. But yeah, it's a good experience. Love it. Love it.
Well, thank you so much for being here today, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
I've got Jim Corin next on my screen, but Jim, are you there? Because I've got a black screen. So
yeah, I'm here. Sorry, my camera is not working.
Sorry. My phone's on silent, but it's still coming through my computer. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's all right. Sorry, my camera's not working on my laptop. No, thank you, and thank you for your time. I'm on Bundjalung, so neighbours with Keith and the likes of the Lismore crowd. We've only been here a few years, and the family's actually been on country since the 1860s, where my grandfather, or one of my great grandfathers, was an explorer up through the Palmer River and established Mount Surprise. And then my wife is a descendant of Chief Menelagena in Tasmania. And so on one hand, you've got the Irish going through the country, and they call it Mount Surprise because the Indigenous were surprised to see sheep driving through from Brisbane up to Mount Surprise. But I reckon there was another reason. And then on one hand, you've got the traditional owners of Tasmania. So I think it's just really important to educate our kids of where they come from, and I guess the history. Try to heal this land, and my wife's into permaculture and all the healthy things, and so if we can restore this land and learn from others rather than trying to take the long route, try and take a shorter route and make a difference whilst we're on this country. So yeah, that's me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jim. Wish we could see your face, but that's okay. Gavin, how are you going today?
Good, Nicole. I'm here on Bundjalung country. I work at Southern Cross Uni, so and I've been working with some of the people on this chat in this ramp cohort, which has been a really great experience. Really diverse group of people, some of whom I already knew. Some stretching back a long time, just coincidentally, but I also knew just from previous work. And it's led to a few other really interesting opportunities. It's been great to watch what people get into, what interests them, motivates them. Keith just, well, not personally, but he just had 3,000 trees planted on his place a couple of weeks ago. That was fantastic. Doesn't live far from me, so I get to drive past it and go, oh, that's good. I'm very into, I guess, landscape regeneration, so I do a lot of bush regeneration. I do a bit of market gardening, but I probably spend more time trying to encourage rainforests to return to what was once the big scrub. What inspires me, like most people, my parents, their experiences growing up in a very different time. My siblings, my wife, she comes from a very diverse background, so there's great stories, and we grew up in very different circumstances, so that's always interesting, and I think that helps our kids be a bit more aware and open-minded about the need to reconcile people, because we won't reconcile the landscape if we don't reconcile people. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Gavin. Becky, I think you're next on my screen. How are you going?
Yeah, I'm going okay, Nicole. I've got a bit of a cold, so sorry if I keep blowing my nose. Yeah, I'm Becky. I'm a daughter of a mother and a sister to sisters and a mother to a daughter. My mum's the first generation, or I'm first generation Australian on my mum's side. She's from Brazil. And then unknown how many generations on my dad's side. He's from Biripi, Worimi country, and Guinea to all you guys from Gumbaynggirr country today, where we currently live and manage land. I have, I guess my biggest goals through this program have been learning how to listen better to country, how to reconnect with this place and learn the language that it speaks, how I can bring the culture back into agriculture for me personally. And I guess I'm mostly passionate about connecting people with the food that they eat, on a personal, you know, an immediate level, and how we can sort of solve that conundrum of making local food systems strong and functional. I appreciate this program mostly for giving me the time and the justification to talk about these things and think about these things. It's kind of hard to justify spending that time when I'm parenting full-time and managing a farm by myself with a 4-year-old daughter full-time. That's not my own farm, it's somebody else's. And trying to meet their goals as well as my own personal goals as a young farmer. Yeah, I just appreciate every day being able to work outside and work with animals and be in the natural world, be present in the natural world. I'm just watching my child over there doing naughty things that she knows she can get away with because I'm on a Zoom call. Yeah. Anyway, that's me. Thanks so much, Simone and Matthew, legends. Thanks for doing this thing.
Thanks, Becky.
No
And
worries.
thanks for being in the yarn today.
Yeah.
Tara, how are you going?
Hi, Nicole. Hi, everybody. I'm good. Thank you. It's the first meeting I've been able to make for a little while, so it's good to be here. I live in Yarrahapinni, which is on the mid-north coast, which nearest town is Maxville. It's Gumbaynggirr country, but I do believe the not Bundjalung, I've got lots of Bundjalung in my head now. Toongabbie border is quite close. I'm not exactly sure where, but we have a small avocado farm on the side of the mountain. I still work part-time off farm, and I just long to be able to be full-time and do all the things I want to do here. What have I got most out of the ramp? My relationship with weeds is really changing dramatically, which is great. They don't freak me out and they don't panic anymore. Like, I'm happy for them to be there. I know they're doing a good thing. So I think I'm able to slow down, not panic, observe, don't worry, everything's going to be okay, kind of thing. And it's also been an interesting ride with my partner, like navigating a bit of conflict and different ideas and stuff. So that's been hard, but good, I think, in the long run. My parents, my mum comes from Ireland, my dad's Australian, but before that England, and they both have made bold moves. They're not afraid of making big changes, which I think I have. I've only been farming for 5 years. My partner's been farming for 10, so yeah, we're new to it. Yeah, that's me.
Thank you, Tara. Kathy, another call from the car?
Yes, lunch break. Yeah, so I'm in the Bundjalung Nation, so on the outskirts of Lismore, like a lot of the group. Just on a small holding, been on the property 2 years. So yeah, just some part-time beef production. My husband and myself, we both work off farm. So yeah, the program has been good, just to sort of earmark time in the week to dedicate to learning new things and collectively kind of connecting with other people and figuring out different ways of doing things. My interest is more like inputs. Oh, sorry. Let me just turn that sound off. Yeah, so and also, yeah, just sort of trying to get my personal goal is just to get some really nice soil on my place. I kind of like the sciencey side of that stuff. I've got an interest in it. My ancestry is mixed English and Italian. So first generation Italian, came over on the boat in the 50s on my dad's side. So they're a long line of sort of peasants and farmers. So really good, production kind of horticulture. That's kind of how they grew up, with that subsistence farming from the garden, just growing everything. So I kind of got a bit of that ethos in me, just with the homesteading and just trying to grow and produce as much as I can for my own family on property. And then on my mum's side, it's English. So yeah, First Fleet English, convict, nothing special there. But also too, another sort of very down to earth family that, just used to try and do a lot of things self-sufficiently. So I've had that in my mind. But yeah, the program's been really good, just for the connection and for just changing different viewpoints and exploring different parts of farming in a more sort of sustainable, low input way. So that's what I've got out of it.
Thanks, Kathy. Matthew.
Good afternoon, everybody. I work with Simone on the program, so I might keep my reflection just a little bit shorter. I am on the land of the Bundjalung lands in Lismore, as many of you are, and generationally probably been in Australia for a little while, but can go back to Norway and England and Ireland and Germany and all of these European places. But yeah, it's great to see the program as we sort of draw it to a bit of a close, and I guess I'm sort of holding out to get my hands on the data, as we have a pretty important part of this project, and Simone's sniggering because she knows that I love the data, is to get some feedback from everybody that's been here. So Simone sent around a link which we can compare against when you started, which really helps us with the funding, because so much of this program has been funded by the Environmental Trust. So it allows us to tick our milestones with them. And I apologize because I seem to keep going into the dark and the light. I'm not sitting in a dark room by myself, although it does look like it. But yeah, it's been great to have everybody on board, and it's fantastic to hear that there's networking, which is going to continue post-program. That's so important.
Thanks, Matthew. We all love someone who's crazy about the data and analysing the data. Greg, are you there? Greg Boland.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yep. Yeah, hi to everybody. It's been that long since you actually gave us what we had to talk about. I've been lost in everyone's stories.
Yeah, I know. It's about introducing yourself, but also maybe whose shoulders you stand on.
Yeah, look, I grew up out Western Darling Downs, so my whole sort of upbringing was on a farm, and being the third son, I had to unfortunately go and find a job. So because the farm couldn't sustain 3 boys and so forth, and those things were. So I've always sort of had a motivation to get back to the land, and I was in a position to do that about 8 or 9 years ago. And so I'm now in Bundjalung country as well. And the ramp course, I sort of heard about it when I went to another program, another field day thing, and was quite interested in it. And and what I've got out of it is, because I run a few cattle. I've got 30 breeder cows, and I was just trying to do things differently. It felt as though I was just putting inputs. It was an old dairy farm. The soils were sort of very depleted and things like that. I had a lot of weeds and a lot of camphor laurel, so it was a big cleanup. And I sort of, ambition is to sort of get it back to sort of how I imagine it might have been before it was sort of let go, I suppose. And because I'm only the second owner on this property, so yeah, it's sort of it's interesting, and yeah, so it's been good to sort of give me some ideas, and it's given me confidence in some things that I was actually doing, and yeah, I've extremely enjoyed it, and like everyone said, the contacts and the little WhatsApp group we got going on, and Gavin's been very helpful, and enjoyed it immensely. Yeah, it's been great.
Thanks so much, Greg. Tandil, Doherty, are you there?
Is that better?
Yes.
Sorry, no, my wife's not here today, so I'm computer illiterate. Yeah, no, I'm Tim, and I'm at Tabulan, which is also Bundjalung country, but bordering on Yagle, a bit further up the Clarence. Yeah, we've run beef cattle and also got pecan nut orchard. And yeah, I'd like to really thank Gavin for the field days he's organised throughout this course. They've been terrific. Yeah, and just trying to get away from anything synthetic or chemical, I think, over the on the farm side of things. Family wise, I think I come from about 4 or 5 generations, either bookmakers or farmers, so everything's a gamble. So, I don't know which one's the bigger gamble at times. So yeah, that's about it.
Thank you, Tim. Ananda? I think you have your mute on still, Ananda.
Is that better?
That's good.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm sorry to say I was late to the session, so I'm a little bit unsure what I'm being asked to talk on.
No problem. We were just introducing ourselves, really, and we're talking about whose shoulders we stand on, and I explained a little bit of my heritage, and so everyone was doing the same thing. So anything you like to share about yourself?
Okay, well, I come from a suburban lineage of mixed professions, very few of whom were farmers. There are some farmers got a couple of great uncles who were farmers, but I didn't spend a lot of time on the farm as a child, a few visits, that's all. I grew up knowing I didn't want to live in Sydney, which is where I did grow up, and having sort of bounced around Australia a bit, I ended up in the Northern Rivers as a part of Australia I really liked. I was really drawn to the volcanic landscapes. So when I sort of thought, where are my favourite places, I realised that all had to do with this sort of coastal volcanic territory, whether it's here in the Northern Rivers, up in far north Queensland, or down in Tasmania. All the landscapes that I really felt drawn to were these younger, more fertile landscapes. Anyway, I've ended up having a farm that I've now lived on for 23 years. And it's a piece of land that I bought fairly cheaply, partly because it had been completely flogged by a whole series of existing livestock managers. And I wanted a sanctuary for myself, and I also wanted to kind of explore the idea of first aid and healing for the landscape. So at that time, when I bought the farm, I was studying environmental science. I went on to become a soil scientist, worked with DPI for a long time, still do to an extent. But increasingly, I really enjoy my farming more than my, I guess, professional work. And just feeling into how, I guess, life changes as I get older. So I'm a mum, I've got 3 kids, the youngest of whom is about to become a teenager. So I'm sort of also in a process of shifting over from a lot of my time and attention on children and to having a bit more to spare to look at what I'm really doing with my farm and my life.
Thank you so much, Ananda. Sarah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Sorry, my earphones play up sometimes. Yeah, so I'm Sarah. I farm on Gumbaynggirr country at a place called Corindi Beach. It's just my husband and I as custodians of the land. I come from a line of very amazing and strong women, but very different to where I've ended up. So my grandmother in Northern Ireland, so I'm half Northern Irish, she was an accomplished musician, cello player and piano player, and also an educator. And my other grandmother was a milliner for in Melbourne for the Melbourne Cup. So I have this long line of like creativity and both very strong women with what they've had to endure over the years. And then my mum, she was a real an enigma because she had this very strong urge to be on the land and be surrounded by lots of animals. And her family are very suburban. So she was kind of the odd one out. And then she's passed that down to me. But more than that, she's instilled a real drive to leave a positive legacy in this world and to drive forwards with that with kindness and integrity. So I'm very blessed to have had those amazing women in my life. And so we have sort of a mixed enterprise on our farm. We have livestock, so we have cattle. I have an environmental science background, and my husband has an environmental engineering background. So our skill set is very focused on I guess regeneration in general, but we have a lot of environmental projects that we've got going, and we also are looking at opportunities to share that with the wider community. We've just purchased a tiny house that we plan to have people come and stay on our farm, and then the not so nice part of our farm is like intensive horticulture, but like very very chemically saturated intensive horticulture. But in saying that, we are trying to promote change within that practice, and it's an ongoing battle when you're dealing with other people and other humans and you have no control over, but encouragement is seemingly going well. And I've really loved the ramp course, probably more so the people. like the people have been fantastic. Connecting with everyone has been really, really cool. And just being able to call on anyone for advice or support, or I called on my team recently and told them about a terrible farming mistake that I had made. It was nice to be able to share that. Yeah, that faux pas. Yeah, that's really it from me.
Thank you, Sarah. I think we've got Norbert next. We're getting a bit tight on time. So Norbert, are you there? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Very quickly, because I'm really interested in hearing what you have to say, Nicole. I'm a brand new farmer. We've been on the farm now for 14, 15 months. And I am an immigrant to Australia, coming from the country where everybody's parents are getting shot down, coming from Germany. And that's about it from my end. Really interested in no input farming, doing nothing and getting some outputs.
Thanks, Norbert. And Murray? Murray Greenaway, are you there? Yeah. Hi, you might be still on mute.
Okay, can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Since Telstra has rolled out their 5G network or 4G network, everything here has just got slower and slower. I'm on Gumbaynggirr country with the a couple of other farmers that you've spoken to already today. As far as family heritage, I've got 3 grandparents that I think were England and around about that, and one that's a little bit of a mystery. So what does that make me? 3rd generation on 3 grandparents. And I've got a small macadamia farm on the mid-north coast. So I'm just trying to, macadamias in this area were fairly, they only sprayed on pest decisions and tried to minimize inputs, but we're heading down the organic path and just trying to kill a lot less stuff whilst trying to grow stuff. But we are late on time, so that's me quickly. Thank you very much.
That's a great intro, though. Thank you. I feel like there was a Wayne somewhere, but he's disappeared. Did I miss anyone?
No, that was it. Wayne went at the start. He's just having some internet issues.
Okay, fine. I'm just going to share my screen again for a moment. And I wanted to share with you today a story about finding some axe heads on my father's property. And what that meant to us. But I don't have time for that today. So Simone, if it's okay with you, I might just get you to send it out just in case anyone's interested in reading that. And yeah, having some thoughts. I'd really appreciate that. I guess I had 2 questions for you today. And the first is, what is your legacy for your descendants? So what's one change that you made or you're planning to make that will affect the trajectory of your property for generations to come? And also, what do you need to know more about? I think that's a really important thing for Simone and her team to know as well. So those 2 questions, what is your legacy, the one change that you've made? And what do you need to know more about? So we've got a few ways of doing this, and probably the most time-effective way is if you put it into your chat. So at the bottom of your screen, I'm sure you've used chat already. There's a chat box, and if you can just put in there for us, yeah, the legacy you're leaving for your descendants. What's one change that the RAMP program has allowed you time to think about and implement that you think you may have changed the trajectory for you and your farming. And if anyone's got an answer straight off to the top of their head, they can definitely tell us while everyone else is chatting. Jim, is there anything in your mind that you're thinking you'll leave for your descendants? A change? Ananda's saying to keep harvest biomass volume low relative to total biomass. Thank you. Collaboration, that's a big thing, Michael. Absolutely. Connection, thanks, Becky. Supporting biodiverse whole ecosystems. Has anyone had trouble finding the chat box? Just put your hand up or yell out. No, that's good. Gavin says, make our property a relaxing sanctuary. I don't think my kids will be farmers. I want to know more the mystery of soil biology. Tara, habitat, diversity, paradise to connect with nature. Susanna, taking cattle off the creeks and regenerating the river, replanting steep areas and reducing poisons used. Sarah, the wonder of nature. Does anyone want to expand on what they've written or would rather talk it through than write it in the chat box? Now's your opportunity.
Well, I'll go if nobody else wants to. I think just working every day with my daughter and having a farm, managing the farm the last 4 years that I'll have to hand over has made my legacy quite pertinent. And we farm in a pretty conventional area. And I think the message that I try to convey to her, to Banksia, is just don't be afraid to do something different if you intuit that that's the right thing to do. Never feel pushed by what decisions are being made around you, because it's all quite obvious. You know, you drive around and you see what people are doing and when they're doing it, and sometimes that just might not feel right. Country might be telling you that that's not the right thing to do, and you're allowed to do something different. And I've had to really think about the legacy of what I want the landowners to have here when we leave is a biodiverse farm, something that's full of productive and functional biodiversity, and that can only come, I think, when you've sat and listened for a long time, and you start to feel what's here and also what's missing. Yeah, that's all.
Thanks so much, Becky.
That's all right.
So what else do you need to know more about? That's what we're going to be typing in the chat box now. So is there anything you touched on during this last few months that you really need to know more information, need to know where to go, who to talk to?
Okay, Mama.
Thanks. What about you, Kevin? You're still hanging in there, waiting to start your work. Is there anything that you need to know more about that you've touched on in this course? Just take your, you've got your mic on mute.
It is.
Got it.
How's that? Better?
Better.
Look, I think the WhatsApp group, I just think the WhatsApp app group, anything I need to know, we'll channel through that. Any discussions, we'll go through that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Tim, sorry.
You go. You keep going, Nicole. I was just going to say, yeah, maybe we've got space for one more.
Yeah.
And if you did want to share, if you've got time to stay around and share your story today, then if anyone else has got space and would like to stay on, they can. Otherwise, the meeting is recorded, so they can catch up with the recording.
Thanks, Simone.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask Tim if he had anything he wanted to add as our final voice today.
Yeah, just have a go. Just try things. They don't always work. A lot of things don't work, but just keep trying them.
Fantastic.
Have a crack, huh?
Have a crack. That's it.
Have a crack. I feel like there's an incredible amount of knowledge in the room today, and a lot of people who are having a crack, who came from different areas in their lives. And yeah, there's a lot of bravery and courage in the room. So if you are someone who has to leave now because we're at the end of our hour, I just want to say thank you so much for your reflections today. And it sounds like everyone got a lot out of the course, especially the connections and the relationships that you've built, and having that platform now to get in contact with each other. Simone, how do they stay in touch with you going forward, or do they already know that?
Yeah, you've all got my email address, obviously, and your mentors. You can get in touch with me at any point, and I've got your contact details too. So if we have any further opportunities, or if there is anything we can let you know about, we will certainly do that. As Matthew said, I hate to do the plug, but if you can do that final survey, that's really useful for us to even feedback to our funding body and let them know what you're interested in, what your needs are moving forward, and that can kind of shape where the funding gets directed as well. But yeah, please do keep in touch. I love building communities, and that was a really important part for me in this project, along with my deep care of love of nature and the environment. I just have so much respect for the work farmers do, and it was a real honour to be able to bring you all together to do this work, to look at different ways of doing farming. And huge thanks to all our mentors as well. They've been amazing to work with. Yeah. And yeah, thank you. I would love to invite you to stay on, Nicole, if you do have time, and anyone else is welcome to stay on to hear about your story.
Yeah, my story, thanks, Simone. My story is the prologue from my PhD, where I write about finding some stone heads on Dad's property, and Dad had Brahman. He also had country that he leased out for banana farming as well, because it was in North Queensland, avocados and lychees. Yeah, I'll read my story. If you've got time to hang around and listen, it takes about 6 minutes. Otherwise, it will be recorded. And for those of you who have to run off, it's so lovely to get to know you briefly today and hear your stories. Yeah, so much courage in the room. Thank you. So my prologue. My brother Chris tells the story of finding the stones. It's an overcast morning, not like the normal sunny mornings we usually get up here on the Palmerston. It's high country, and I always like escaping the humidity of town when I come up here to the farm. I'm here to help Dad clear out a whole lot of ground where the shed was. A couple of years ago, a cyclone came through and wiped out the old shed. We all lived in that shed, and now it lies in a pile of rubble. It's been so wet, the cyclone lifted the shed and its concrete footings out of the ground and moved it 20 metres from where it originally sat. Dad's just arrived back with a bulldozer he's borrowed from his neighbours. I'm just here to help him out, guide him, and make sure there's no damage done to the bulldozer. I've spent many days here over the years, doing maintenance jobs, fixing the building things for Dad. I love this place. I help guide Dad to push through all the steel and make a pile away from where the cyclone had stacked it. He works methodically, pushing the metal towards the west, down to where the laneway is. First, he takes off about 100 mil, 4 inches of topsoil, to start to level it. Once all the grass is cleaned off, it is starting to look nice and level. Then he comes back and starts to pack down to form a bit of a pad. That pad will be the new yards where the cattle will come in for sorting. It's where the old shed used to live. As he starts on the next layer, I hear a sharp grinding sound. It's so loud we can both hear it over the top of the bulldozer. Dad stops immediately. We go to investigate. We've either hit a bit more of the shed that's still under the ground, or we've damaged something. I run over to the left-hand side of the bulldozer blade. I see all of these metallic pieces of rock sticking up in the ground. They are all lying pointed ends up, like they've been positioned carefully there. They look like pippies surfacing on a beach. It's all basalt country here, so I think they could be sharp pieces of basalt. Dad jumps back onto the bulldozer and starts backing up. He pushes again, and from about 5 meters back, but this time all this stuff starts flying like flint away from the blade. Dad jumps down from the bulldozer. We both go over and start pulling out some of the pieces of rock. When I first look at them, I don't really know what I'm seeing. Dad does, though. He wipes the dirt off them and shows me the shape where the handles had once been wrapped around one end. They are axe heads. There are hundreds of them. They are everywhere, showing the full length of the blade. Dad jumps back on the bulldozer and reverses. We carefully pull 20 to 30 of them out of the ground and put them to one side. They are large, all alike. Dad says we should level the dirt back over the rest of them and let them be. The ones we collect, we move to the new shed. I don't understand why Dad covers them up again, but he knows more about culture than I do, so I know it's the right thing to do. I decide to give each of the girls one axe head, a gift from Mamu country. On a small green handmade ply and rattan table in my dining room rests a heavy, smooth, cold piece of stone. It's not small. It's about 10 inches long, 6 inches wide, 2 inches thick, and weighs about 550 grams. The shaped stone fits neatly into a large hand. It's carefully chiseled and meticulously shaped with a ground edge and has a centimetre-wide ridge around one end, which possibly once anchored a timber handle. It is different shades of riverstone grey. It may have been polished smooth at one time, but now it's slightly rough in texture. My 2 sisters, my brother and I all have one or more of these stone axe heads in our home. They connect us all to Mamu people from that country, the land where our father lived, worked, and spent the final years of his life. I'm only a blip in the story of this axe head, neither at the beginning nor at the end of its story. Although cold and stony, the axe head has agency and a rich story, one that it chooses to keep to itself. I can only imagine its story because I know Aboriginal people used axe heads for many purposes, including to build canoes and shelters, hunt for and prepare food and protect their families. Our ancestors used them in ceremony and as valuable tools of trade, often carrying them for miles across country. When the edge was chipped or damaged, it would be chiseled again to produce a working blade, occasionally changing shape as it needed to in order to stay functional. The study of ancient stones sits at the intersection of anthropology, geoarchaeology, and philosophy or religion. Bovic and Owen, 2016, point out that for different ancient cultures, stones are said to walk around, dance, light fires, transmit and cure diseases, speak, procreate, and kill. Whole ground edged axe heads are rare. They are usually found in broken parts. I can only, without any real knowing, tell you a small part of this stone story. My brother was with my father when they found this sea of axe heads. That was some 20 years before I started this PhD journey. This axe head is now part of my songline, the memory code that connects me to a place, people, and events, both happy and painful. It helps to position who I am, and despite a box of memorabilia marked Dad, carefully stored away in my spare room cupboard, it remains my deep personal connection to everything that is him. When I hold it, I think of the generations of crafting it took to create the perfect tool, a skill handed down from father to son. I wonder what ceremonies the axe head in my home participated in, and why it was carefully positioned in that place. As I hold a stone, I realize that these axe heads have the power to unlock the past. When I hold the axe head in my hand, it feels like Dad. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for staying and listening.
Very, very powerful, Nicole. Thank you. Yeah, beautiful.
Just reminded me of all the knowledge that's held in the earth, hey? And we've got that ability just to keep finding that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Amazing. Thank you for staying on and sharing it with us. Yeah, we'll share that recording with our group. And thank you again for joining us today. I've really thoroughly enjoyed hearing your stories and hearing everyone in the group stories as well. I think it's just been a really lovely way to complete our program of the last 3 years. So thank you so, so much for facilitating that, and some lovely messages in the chat as well.
Yeah, there are. Thank you very much, everyone. And best of luck into the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.